As much as I hate to say it, I think I owe the entirety of my career to She-Hulk. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. 2 years ago this month, a lot of lives were changed for the better. Some of them changed for the worse, and some even altered beyond all recognition. And that's because 2 years ago this month, I started this YouTube channel. And I wanted to make this video to kind of talk about how and why I started, as well as giving y'all a little bit of information about what it's really like being a full-time YouTuber. So we're gonna talk about content, we're gonna talk about monetization, which everybody's always asking about. We're gonna talk about a few different things. So technically, I started this YouTube channel in December of 2021. The Book of Boba Fett had just started, and I had enough rants, let's say, to inspire my dad to literally build a little studio in our living room to let me just go off, and told me upload it on YouTube. He taught me how to use Adobe Premiere, and that was how I got started. I think because I already had an audience on Instagram, those early Book of Boba Fett videos were already averaging a couple thousand views each one. But to be honest, those early days of YouTube were kind of just testing the waters. They weren't really all that fun. The scripts were super long. I think I was also a lot more polished in a really uptight way. I was a lot more mellow. The writing at times, and by at times I mean pretty much through the entire episode, felt really childish, and I thought that we were going way out of the way of what Star Wars usually is. And the main issue was that I had to have my dad record everything for me. Right after the Book of Boba Fett, I ended up getting a regular 9-to-5, which meant that I didn't have time to do this anymore, and I also honestly was not all that into it at that point. For those curious, my degree is in public relations, advertising, and applied communications, so I got a job writing copy for a social media marketing agency. This was before AI had the ability to do all of that for you, and I hated the commute, I hated the office, and I hated the work so much that I eventually quit in April. So I started in January, I quit in April, and I was able to quit because my dad basically said, look, you had a good thing going with YouTube, why not jump back into it? I'm gonna take a minute here to go ahead and acknowledge my privilege. I understand that I am very privileged and was super lucky to have the family that I have, who have always been super supportive of my YouTube endeavors and have kind of held my life together while I do this and try and get this dream off the ground. So the last day of my job was April 29th, and in May of 2022, my dad and I were putting together a studio on a stand to set up right here in my bedroom. The first few months that I was doing YouTube were miserable because I had no idea where the channel should go. I was trying to do movie reviews, and I think it's pretty obvious I'm not a cinephile, so they weren't going particularly well. I started trying to do these fun fact videos about different movies, and nobody was clicking those. The content wasn't anything that I was particularly excited about either, and I honestly felt like all the traction and all the great stuff that I had accomplished with the Book of Boba Fett had gone out the window. But there was a month where everything basically turned around for me, and as much as I hate to say it, I think I owe the entirety of my career to She-Hulk. You know I'm the hottest, you ain't never gotta hit me up. And there's a couple of reasons why I'm saying this. See, first and foremost, if you go back and take a look at those earlier videos, I'm a lot more mellow, and I don't think any of my real personality was shining through in those videos. And She-Hulk completely killed that. I hated that show so much that I just let loose and I ranted. And yeah, I did a recap and a review, but I just went off. And the response to that video was amazing. It was better than anything I'd ever done, and I realized, holy shit, people like when I go off the rails. People like when I let go of the media training that I don't even have, and I just am me. And so right there is where the channel took a turn, and I veered away from trying to cosplay a cinephile and doing these very uptight movie reviews, and instead I focused on what I was good at. Yes, I still reviewed movies here and there, I still do, but for the most part, they're always in my niche of geeky stuff. I do way less recap content, and I also realized that my ability to just comment on things was really what kept people coming back to the channel. And I love this form of content. I prefer it. It honestly takes way less time to write, aside from all the research that I have to do for some of these topics, but I really enjoy feeling like I'm sitting here talking to you guys and not giving some sort of detailed PowerPoint presentation. Now remember, She-Hulk came out in August of 2022, and in August of 2022 is when my channel got monetized, so we're gonna talk about the money aspects. of YouTube, which everybody is always curious about. For those that don't understand, I'm going to give you a brief rundown. Essentially, advertisers pay YouTube to run ads on our channels. And then YouTube pays us a percentage, our cut, of what the advertiser pays YouTube. Now, these numbers vary a lot from channel to channel depending on your niche. Some of the channels that make the most money are like real estate, finance, and travel. I don't do any of that shit. So for every 1,000 views, I am making less than $3 per 1,000 views. So everybody that thinks YouTube is this big lucrative business, please understand, most of the time while you're growing, you're cutting your teeth and praying that this month Google AdSense will give you enough money to put some gas in your f***ing car. But the thing that really has helped this channel over the past year or so, I've started getting more and more sponsorship deals. Those are the moments in the middle of a video where I go, and now here's a word from our sponsors, and I do some minute or two where I'm talking about some random thing you've probably never heard of. Those are what make real money. Again, I make less than $3 per 1,000 views, but when somebody is willing to give me a certain sum of money just to put in an ad, that really helps. And I know that a lot of people see it as selling out, but understand this. If I were doing a full-time 9 to 5, I just wouldn't do this. I do this because I have the time, because I'm dedicating my life to it essentially and treating it as a full-time job. If I had a full-time job, I would not have the energy to do these videos at all. So when I have a sponsorship, I'm not selling out. It's not some filthy greed conspiracy. I do really like nice sunglasses, so there might be a little bit of greed involved, but it's not that much. Before we get into where I see this channel going and what I want to do in the future, I want to talk about one of the things that really hit me hard that I had to figure out when I started. See, I had already been doing Instagram for quite a few years. I started posting on Instagram really consistently in 2017. So by the time I started YouTube, I'd had a lot of experience being online. And the thing about my Instagram presence is that most of the people that comment are people that follow me and like me. It's really not the world at large. So there really isn't much criticism to hear. It's kind of like I do anything and people are supportive. And so I think we kind of developed this idea where we live in this echo chamber of people that just love everything we do. And we think, wow, I must be beautiful and talented and fantastic. And there's no reason why anybody on the planet would ever have anything less to say about me. And then I discovered YouTube. See, it's kind of a double-edged sword because to find success on YouTube, you want everybody to be watching your videos. But when everybody watches your videos, well, you know the old saying, opinions are like assholes, everyone has one and they stink. So I find that anything I do or say could be construed as something worth attacking. I recently had a conversation with a really good friend in this sort of space, and as a male content creator, he's told me that really the only things he ever gets are based on his opinions. And as a woman in this space, I find that there is such an insane amount of vitriol and judgment for everything. If I love something, I'm a shill. If I hate it, I'm a bitch. I'm often either entirely too fat or entirely too ugly to deserve having an opinion. I am overly passionate to the point of being a crazy bitch who needs to calm down and shut the f up, or I very obviously know nothing about what I'm talking about. I don't give a shit about any of it, and I'm obviously doing this just to attack the money and attention of lonely simps on the internet. I'm a whore because I look and dress a certain way, and none of these things I had ever had to deal with before. I had never had to read any of these comments. I had never gotten any of the emails or messages that I get. I had never dealt with this amount of insanity, and I was not prepared for it. And back in the day, those of you that have been here that long, you would see me in the comments section, and I would sit there and I would argue back and I would fight and I would react, and I eventually had to teach myself that it's just not worth it. Just because I stayed hit by not responding doesn't mean I lost an argument. It just means some moron yelled into the void and didn't even hear an echo back. There's a great Mark Twain quote that says, "Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience." So at this point, the nasty comments get deleted. The particularly deranged ones get collected for a future mean comments video. I've been kind of slacking on that. But for the most part, I just move on. I put out my content, I make a little video, I do a little dancey dance, and everybody that likes it, everybody that doesn't gets to shut the f up. Now, besides learning to protect my mental health, there is honestly so much more that I want to keep doing with this channel. As movie production is ramping back up in these years, I obviously want to do more reviews. I'm obviously looking forward to reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine as well as the Crow reboot this year. Those are probably the two things I'm most stoked to review this year. But I also want to keep doing commentary. I kind of like touching upon the social issues when it comes to this kind of stuff. I have a lot of fun experimenting with that, so I want to do more of that kind of content. And I also want to keep getting to do vlogs. I've done a couple for movie reviews, and I've also done videos about conventions. I want to start vlogging from conventions if and when I get to guest again. I also want to start translating some of the stuff that I do on Twitch over here. I'm playing a lot of video games over there, and I'd love to bring that here. But for the most part, I really just want to cultivate a space where there's all kinds of content, a little bit of something for everybody, but it's a little bit of something for everybody with a whole lot of me. You know what I'm saying? That's basically been my first 2 years on YouTube. I know that it probably seems like you just get into this and start making money and suddenly you're part of the machine, but it's been a lot of figuring things out. I am one person doing everything on this channel, so it's really been kind of stressful, but also very rewarding to sort of figure out where I sit in this niche. Now, I would love to hear from some of you guys what kind of content you do or don't like from me, if you have any ideas for where this channel should go. I have plenty of my own ideas, but I love hearing from my people, so definitely let me know in the comments. That's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to catch me on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST. You can also check out my Instagram, and if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and content. I will add links to all of those in the description below, and let me know your thoughts on my first 2 years on YouTube in the comments below.